Welcome everyone to another episode of the Will and Rock MMA podcast.
What's up, everybody? What's up? So the first news of the day, we have Mikhail Krokop. He just signed a contract with Bellator, and he's slated to fight against Roy Nelson on his first fight back after like 2 years layoff. Roy Nelson, as we know, just finished losing to Matt Mitrione last month, so gets eliminated for the Grand Prix. So they immediately book him with Mikhail Krokop. So I'm guessing they have to give him a couple of months before the next fight. So I would like to think within 2 or 3 months. I'm not 100% sure.
And if we do recall, Roy Nelson did beat Mikhail Krokop in the UFC by stoppage in the last round.
Yeah.
After he was somewhat losing the fight, he made a comeback towards the end and ended up just out-grinding Mikhail Krokop, which is what I'm afraid is going to happen. I think Mikhail Krokop is going to go out guns blazing. He's not going to get past the second round because he's going to win out.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
But I still like to see Mikhail. He's one of those guys that I've come to the conclusion where he's never going to retire.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even when all these big federations take him out, he's going to find a way to fight in his local hometown or some shit. So I'm just happy to see him back to fight in a big organization.
I agree.
And to hopefully still make some noise and get some highlight reels, you know, put a little buzz behind his name.
Hell yeah. No, I agree with you 100% on that. Also, one of the other fights that they finished announcing, not booking 100%, so we don't know the date or the venue as well, is Vanderlei Silva versus Quinton Rampage Jackson. Now, this is a very interesting fight. And the only reason why I would say that is because Vanderlei Silva hasn't fought in a long time, right? And on top of that, Rampage also getting knocked out of the Grand Prix after losing to Charleston, and they book another fight real quick. It's interesting because it's the perfect fight for Rampage Jackson. It's he already beat him once, and Vanderlei Silva beat Rampage twice in Pride.
Oh shit, that's right.
So
this is the fourth fight.
This is gonna be the fourth fight.
Yeah.
Right, and this is gonna be an interesting fight because I know Rampage wants this so bad.
I mean, Rampage had the last laugh.
He did get yeah, he did, but he still has one loss under his belt against against Vanderlei Silva. So it's why it's an interesting fight.
It's just at this point, these are one of the cards that you could put as a co-main event, and it'll be good for any card you want to put in Bellator.
I agree.
It's for a massive fight for an organization like Bellator. So I'm looking forward for this fight, man. I really think Rampage. I follow the guy on Instagram. He's really puts in work, man. He's been really in the gym. He's been really determined to get back in there. And it sucks. I feel like every time he comes out a little sloppy, he finds a way to win. But every time he's determined to win, he ends up losing.
Yeah.
But let's see, man. He's one of the few guys whose boxing skill is so high level, no matter how old the guy gets, that he could make a name for him to rename himself.
He hasn't really taken as much punishment of most of these fighters, so you don't see any, CTSs. Like he seems fine when he talks. He's fine, so he has a couple of years under his belt without a doubt.
If we're talking about Vanderlei, it's the complete opposite.
I agree with you 100%. So that's that, and then we have UFC 222, the shots, right? Somebody took a couple of people took L's, so let's get right to it. Fuck this.
All right.
We have Kat Zingano versus Ketrin Vieira. It was the first fight of the day. We both picked Kat Zingano. We didn't know too much about Ketrin Vieira. She came out guns blazing. This girl could fight. She stood right in front of Kat Zingano, and they went banging. That fight barely took place on the ground. Although Vieira has tremendous judo skills, he just picked her up and slammed her a couple of times.
I will say, man, Kat Zingano, she looks so flat, and I always said that she should have been that girl who should have taken a rematch with Ronda Rousey, because I always say, like, that fight, it was a split-second mistake that she got submitted. The fight lasted like 14 seconds.
You're right.
But Kat Zingano,
but it's the same thing, Ruckus, saying somebody comes into the octagon and whoever it is knocks him out in the first round with 2 seconds, and be like, oh man, he should have fought him for again because this is how good Ronda Rousey was at her prime. This is where Kat Zingano was not. In what level she was not in as Ronda Rousey. I wouldn't.
My point is, sometimes things like that don't you know, it's a fight game at the end of the day. But my point is, had this fight gone to the later rounds, you would have been able to see who really Katsugano was.
But I think, back to what I'm saying, I do agree with what you're saying, but
you don't take away from the fight game.
Yeah,
that's just part of the fight game.
Roy Nelson, I was gonna say, Ronda Rousey showed why she was the dominant one that day. It's why she beat her, that early in the game.
All right. So, anyways, man, at the end of the day, we both picked freaking Katsugano. Cheers, my brother. Cheers.
So that was the first one. Then we have Stefan Struve, right, versus Andrei Arlovski. So Andrei Arlovski, I mean, he just doesn't go away. This guy.
He looks so sharp, and it's. I mean, I won't say so sharp because he was fighting Stefan Struve, who you almost wait for this guy to get knocked out.
Yeah.
But he went the later rounds. And even Rogan gave him credit, like, yo, you look legit. Like, you, all of a sudden,
you're very composed, right? Very smooth. There was nothing really sloppy of Andrei Arlovski. I don't know what his game plan was this time around.
But I think the most impressive thing is his conditioning, man.
Yeah.
He won all 3 rounds and he looked fine. He looked like he could still continue going. For someone like him, it's fucking impressive as shit, you know?
Yeah, I do agree. I think Stefan Struve had a off night, but obviously Arlovski had a better night. Great performance by Arlovski. Congratulations, sir. I took the win. So Rocky, do the honors.
Cheers.
The next fight was Sean O'Malley versus Andre. I'm not even going to pronounce the guy's last name. I have no fucking idea what
that is the longest last name in UFC history.
But with that being said, Sean O'Malley was the highlight of this whole fight, besides the main event. But Sean O'Malley took this card to another level. We're talking about a superstar. There's something about this kid that he's gonna be a superstar.
So this is why I'm so impressed with this guy. Well, first of all, he's a highlight reel, right? He's like a freaking highlight reel waiting to happen every single card.
But but with that being said, he's so smooth.
It's skilled.
So smooth. Everything is just like very,
there's some fighters that you go, damn, he got lucky. He was able to do something off the fence or whatever. But with this guy, is very well calculated. You mentioned he's really smooth, extremely patient, knows when to strike. Yep. We know that about him. He's proven that's what he's able to bring to the octagon. The most impressive shit of them all is you never test somebody's heart. Mm-hmm. O'Malley has fucking heart, bro. He fucking threw a kick, which we assumed it was broken because as soon as he threw it, he brought it back down. He couldn't even step on it.
Yeah, we were like, oh fuck, he's gonna lose this fight. Like, I was already getting depressed thinking about it because he was dominating the whole fight.
He gets taken down and he still dominates off the back with the broken. Well,
it wasn't broken.
It wasn't broken, but shit, man.
But his freaking foot right now looks like a fucking elephant's foot.
Yeah,
it's huge, it's swollen. But although it wasn't broken, it was some sort of injury that went on in his foot. But he was screaming, and the ref said, "Are you okay?" And I don't know what that. It's like he heard freaking Jesus. He just completely changed and just sucked it up. Tried to put his face under so the ref couldn't see the agony that he was in. Managed to pull it away for decision. It got to the point where he couldn't stand up, so Joe Rogan got on his knees and interviewed him after the fight.
Which goes down to as one of our good, and that's why I had to pose that.
Yeah,
because it was so well done by Rogan, and I thought Rogan asked a little too many questions because Rogan is.
They were working on his. With that being said, they were working on his foot, so it's not like they could have done it any quicker. You know, there is that legendary fight. Should I say finishes?
It needed that ending.
It needed that ending, but also, which one was the better one? Was it John Jones with the broken toe?
Oh,
remember that? Yeah. Or is it the Sean O'Malley with like an injured foot, unpained, screaming, and still managed to do an interview and understand what Joe Rogan was saying? Or freaking John Jones act like nothing happened. He was just like, okay, yeah, it's another day for me.
And then he looked down. He was like, holy shit, that was like the biggest thing. That was huge for that.
But we both picked Sean O'Malley. We didn't know too much about Andre, but we definitely knew what Sean O'Malley brought to the table. Tremendous performance by Sean O'Malley. I'm really excited to see who he's going to fight next and what type of performance he's going to bring to the octagon.
What I was thinking about? I was thinking about him and Mickey Gall.
Him and Mickey Go might make sense. Isn't Mickey Go one? I think he's a little heavier.
Yeah, who is it? No, O'Malley's heavier.
Is he really?
Yeah, O'Malley's heavier. I was thinking the complete opposite. We should have Mickey go up weight or do a fight. That would be a good fight, man. Because now you're fighting somebody who's just legit. Like Mickey Gall is fucking legit. We thought he was gonna be whatever just because he beat CM Punk, but then he came and beat Serge the Northcutt. Yeah, he had some big wins.
He has some big wins under his belt.
He is very legit.
Came out actually a loss, but I don't know if. I don't think that's the best fight.
I don't know for whatever reason. The first thing that came to my mind was him. For whatever reason. No.
All right, but anyways, the next fight was the co-main event. It was Frankie the Answer Edgar versus Brian Ortega. Besides the Sean O'Malley fight, this fight had so much potential, right? Just because we know what Frankie Edgar brings to the octagon. Right, and then we had Brian Ortega, who just come off 2 submissions, right, with a neck crank. Off, who did he fight? Cub Swanson, while standing up. But we know what Frankie Edgar brings to the fucking table, so that's why I picked, Frankie Edgar. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't mean to be real quick. All the people that know MMA know that they would have picked Frankie Edgar. This was one of the biggest upset in the card, if not the biggest upset in the card.
It was first of all, it was the biggest upset because there was no other fight that you were like, oh my god, I'm so hyped to see. Maybe the Katsugano losing, maybe that's another upset.
Katsugano was the upset.
Or the Hector Lombard got disqualified when he fought CJ Holloway
but
after that belt.
I don't see that as being
I know. I'm saying like that. It was a disappointing card. Right. That was a disappointing fight actually because you didn't want things to end the way they ended.
Correct.
Anyways, I thought that Frankie was gonna take Ortega just the way he did with Yaris, like a young guy who's well put together, but Frankie's just in a whole different level. Was gonna run right through him the whole fight, decision win, and they were never gonna find the answer, which is what they call him, his answer, because he's just so legit. With that being said, man, totally underestimated Ortega.
I wouldn't say he underestimated.
No. I totally underestimated Ortega.
No, I think we all did.
The most impressive thing is like this guy's a jiu-jitsu artist, right? He black belt under the Renzo Gracie's, right? And for him to stand up with a stand-up fighter.
And is one of the highlight reel knockouts of the.
Well, no. So let's take it a little bit slow. The thing that got him to that amazing KO was that left short elbow directly to and that's really
temple. It hit him in the temple and that rocked him. That rocked Frankie Edgar.
That really was the stepping stone to what happened right after that, which was. Francis Gano type of shit on some total uppercut and Frankie caught all of it, man. All of it.
He caught his whole fist landed. He could have almost put a hole through his face. It was crazy.
And I will tell you what I love about this sport, man. That's what I love about this sport. Max Holloway came out to congratulate Frankie Edgar on this loss because Frankie didn't have to take this fight.
He didn't.
But he's one of these fighters when he's prepared, he's ready to fight. He doesn't care who's next.
And also Conor McGregor came out saying the same thing. Yeah, respecting. He's like, you should have lost against me, not against Brian Ortega. But Mike, hats to you. You didn't have to take the fight. You're still the champ. This is a guy that deserves the belt. He's one of the greatest. He's going down in history as one of the greatest fighters. This is the guy that pretty much took BJ Penn out the map. You know what I'm saying? So it's unfortunate. But tremendous performance by Brian Ortega. He's now officially being booked to fight Max Holloway during the International Fight Week, which normally happens in Vegas. I'm very interested to see because if they do decide to book that fight, that means they also have already in line Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic, and rumors are that also Chris Cyborg, which we'll get to the next fight, is fighting against Amanda Nunes. That's a fucking card.
Well, that's a good card. Well, forget about the good card. That's a fight that needs to happen next, regardless of what happens, right? I couldn't agree with you more. So this is a question I'm gonna ask you, bro. You think Ortega really deserves a title shot right away?
Who did he beat?
You know who I think he should fight? Because me and one of my boys, Will, we were going at it on Instagram. We were going back and forth on some messages. And we both agreed, man. We both agreed he should fight Jeremy Stevens, bro. He should fight. Jeremy Stevens just came off back-to-back KO victories. This guy just beat Frankie Edgar. They're both in an all-time hype right now. Put them against each other, man.
You know what? I have a hard time disagreeing with what you're saying. I really do. They should give somebody a fight. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that the fight is coming too close to International Fight Week, which I think is in May. They need to book somebody there. Could they pick Jeremy Stevens? They could. It would have been. It'll be a great fight. They could pick Jeremy Stevens.
No, I don't think Jeremy Stevens should fight Max Holloway. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
I'm saying Ortega's next fight.
But my point to you is that it makes more sense because they need a belt under that International Fight Week. So why not take the person that has the biggest hype right now, which I don't necessarily think is Brian Ortega over Jeremy Stevens, but because it's the latest fight Brian Ortega took, and he took very little punishment. Now keep in mind that Jeremy Stevens did get rocked versus Emmett and almost got knocked out. That did not happen with Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega dominated that fight and just completely dominated, didn't get hurt at all in that fight. He's ready to fight the next day.
No, I totally agree. But at the end of the day, I'm in no rush to see them fight either. I want them to be 100% when they get in there anyway, so I'm in no rush. My point is, I can see why the UFC would want to consider just putting Ortega in because, like you mentioned, he didn't get hurt. It's easier to book him. He's not, he'll be at 100%, and he'll be fully warm after this fight. But anyways, man, I totally underestimated Ortega. He's a great stand-up fighter, which I was really fucking impressed how he picked apart Frankie Edgar. Because I will tell you, that fight, it almost feel like it was bound to happen.
Yeah, we would just, it's like, oh man, when the fuck is he gonna knock him out? Because I'm like, he can't do that. And all of a sudden, holy fuck.
But it also tells you the power behind this guy. Everyone's talking about his stand-up game is oh my god, it's so good. Yeah, let's talk about his power.
Yeah.
But
he did look a lot bigger than Frankie Edgar in that octagon. But then again, everybody looks bigger than Frankie Edgar when they go into the ring. The only person that I kind of felt like they were almost the same was Jair Rodriguez. But besides that, it was just like Brian Ortega looked like a bigger guy than Frankie Edgar in that fight. But anyways, we both picked Frankie Edgar. We both lost, so we both have to take shots. Cheers, my brother.
Cheers, man.
The next fight was Chris Cyborg versus Yana. I also cannot pronounce her last name. But Chris Cyborg, there's nobody...
My god, that shit is disgusting, bro.
There's nobody else that I could see Chris Cyborg fighting at this point. Amanda Nunes has to be in that card next. She's sweeping through the division, but to the point where people are really acting tough going into fight Cyborg. The minute Cyborg puts a fucking hand on them, I've never seen somebody so afraid in my life than Yana.
Yana, damn, dude, that's an extent. I mean, listen, I'm not a fighter. I'm not there taking a punch in the face by Cyborg, so I'm not going to talk shit necessarily.
Yeah, but we don't have to. It's obvious. It's all
yeah, but then you look at someone like Holly Holmes, and this is a perfect example why you respect the shit out of Holly Holmes. She stood there and took several of those punches, not just 2 or 3. Yana looked scared. She got hit 2 or 3 times, and she was just like on the
She
fence.
never felt power like that. And I think that a lot of female fighters that go into fight Cyborg, the thing that they could beat Cyborg, they have like a rude awakening. This girl could fucking hit. Good luck taking her down, and she won't submit you. But she's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I was listening to the Spanish commentary, right?
Fabricio Verdun, Chito, and the other guy, right?
And Verdun was talking about that he's trained with her, and she has knocked out guys in her camp. Guys, this girl is no joke. She has hands. She's a great boxer, but even better than that is that she has power, and that's something you cannot teach.
Yeah.
She has everything that is to be a champion. I don't see anybody beating her or even coming close to beating her. I really don't. I really don't.
Dude. I will tell you, Amanda Nunes is the X factor to that just because of Amanda Nunes' power. But I don't think she's quicker than Cyborg. I don't know who hits harder, to be honest with you.
Cyborg.
So this is the thing. I want to necessarily say that's necessarily true. But I do believe for every punch that Nunes hits, Cyborg has 3 for her on either the same or a little bit lower power range. But at the end of the day, she's getting rocked with cyborg punches.
With that being said, I mean, I'm so excited for this fight. I'm so looking forward to this.
Yo,
I want to see.
I will tell you, I'm in.
No, I just want to see this high competition between these females.
Yo, I love the fact that we're having a conversation about women's MMA.
Yeah.
They're so underrated. These girls that every fight you watch, they go out for theirs, man.
Yep.
They totally go out for theirs. They're doing everything in their power to put themselves on the map, and they've been doing a phenomenal job.
Absolutely, 100%. Rose versus Joanna, which we're going to watch the MMA. So we're gonna be catching it on April 7th. That's another women's title fight that's coming up that I'm so excited to see.
It's crazy, man.
It's cool to see this. We live in a really crazy times where we didn't think we were going to see MMA fighting, and look at now. They're like headlining cards. Amazing. Truly, truly amazing. But anyways, that's all. That's all we have for today.
Oh, thank God, dude. I couldn't take another fucking hit.
We're only going to do one podcast this week because there's no fights next week, finally. We're skipping a week. The next week we'll give you the predictions between, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's Verdun versus Kolkov. That's the next fight that's happening.
That's right.
So, which is a heavyweight fight. Anyways, don't forget to follow us on Instagram on the Will and Rock MMA show podcast.
Not show podcast.
On our YouTube Will and Rock MMA podcast. And also on Twitter. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter.
And just as up, we were considering changing our name to WNR. That scratched. We just scratched it. We kept it with the way it was. And we just added the MMA so people don't get confused of what they listen to when they log in.
Yeah.
All right. Peace, guys. Have a good one.